Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Peter Jennings, and I go by CSURAM88 across the daily fantasy industry, and I'm excited to be back again here at FantasyLabs doing a lineup review for Week 3 on DraftKings. Not a good week for me on DraftKings. Had some big misses, and my boy Amari Cooper put up a dud on Sunday Night Football, which was a disaster for my fantasy lineups, my bank account, and my Twitter mentions. But it's 1 week. That's the beauty of daily fantasy. Get to move on to week 4, but definitely going to take a look and go through my thought process on the players that I picked, as well as some other lineups from some prominent players. So going to be reviewing the three-man of the three donkeys with Adam Levitan, Bales, and I. Taking a look at my team first, I went with Dalton at quarterback. I wrote a couple different quarterbacks on DraftKings. I ended up going Dalton in the three-man and the four-man, where I thought it made sense to get a little bit of leverage. So I thought people wouldn't be on Dalton in these leagues. Le'Veon Bell, who's 100% owned here, very chalky play. Could have had a monster game. Had a good game on DraftKings, but not the Le'Veon Bell performances that we've been expecting after the last couple of years. So still finally had a decent game, but not great from Le'Veon Bell. Was on the road against the Chicago front seven that I respect a little bit, but still not an amazing game, but a better game from Le'Veon Bell. Ty Montgomery ended up salvaging on DraftKings only because he had 8 catches, but just a very inefficient day. He was also 100% owned, chalky play. Same with Devontae Adams. Not really a great game. Did have one nice good catch, but pretty chalky here as well. Did embrace the negative correlation, but I had a game stack kind of here, so thought it was fine. Deshaun Jackson, who I really liked. I liked Deshaun Jackson this week against Minnesota because Xavier Rhodes was going to be covering Mike Evans, and I thought that was a good spot for Deshaun Jackson, who should have seen a lot of one-on-one coverage. That was my thought process going in. Did catch a long touchdown, which was nice, and happy that I had Deshaun Jackson in this lineup here. Brandon LaFell ended up being a total bust. Dalton missed him a couple times, only 1 catch for 5 yards. Thought he was a good play. He had really nice splits when Eifert was out last year. So I thought LaFell made a lot of sense here, especially paired with Dalton. Did have a lot of A.J. Green across the industry, but the salary cap was tight here with Le'Veon if you wanted to play him. So went with LaFell, and then I went Ertz, who was chalk tight end, had a good game, and Amari Cooper, like I mentioned, really busted, and the Eagles defense, who I was really high on, who busted as well. Levitan went with Kaiser, who I liked a lot, played Kaiser in some cash as well. Jay Ajayi really busted, which was unfortunate, and then had Terrell Pryor as well as Rashard Higgins, 2 other busts on the week. Definitely had exposure to both those guys throughout the industry, and just an unfortunate week for a lot of these chalk plays. Bales took home the winner here with the three donkeys. Went with Kirk Cousins, which is the big winner right there. He had a great game. Melvin Gordon also could have had a really nice game, but did suffer a little bit of a knee injury, which held him out for a bit. A lot of similar plays in here. Went with the Patriots defense and Jared Cook at tight end. So congrats to Bales. Overall, these are 3 pretty poor lineups, but scoring was down on DraftKings. You can see here Adam and I had the same team. We had Cap86, who won the Listener League for the DFS Edge podcast the week before. Really nice lineup here. Went with Funchess, Kareem Hunt, Wentz, who I liked a lot, and Ertz. Played 2 tight ends with Travis Kelce. Kelce just busted, but pretty solid lineup. Definitely had a nice lineup here with Kareem Hunt. The only criticism would be negative correlation, which I did have with Ty Montgomery and Devontae Adams, but I thought there was so much scoring and they can rely on receptions. He has Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce here, which isn't the worst, but there is some negative correlation there. Smizzle won it this week with a Stafford stack. Had Vernon Davis, who had a really nice day, as well as Kareem Hunt. Went with 3 expensive running backs, then value the rest of the way. Geronimo Allison also came through in a really big way with a huge catch to end the game there in Green Bay. So congrats to Smiz on the win. You can see 130 won this by quite a bit. Taking a look at the Millionaire Maker, I got crushed in this contest as well. Here's my best team. It was a Kaiser team. Did have T.Y. Hilton at leverage, who had a really good game. The big disappointment here is Eric Ebron and the Panthers defense, but overall, pretty good team. Went with Kenny Britt over Higgins a lot in tournaments. I thought that made sense. Did get was fortunate to have Kenny Britt score a touchdown, but still not a huge game. Needed bigger production from some guys to move up, and then not having Brandon Cooks was really a big thing. If you didn't have him in the Millionaire Maker, you weren't going to win. So that was my best team. You can see here some pretty poor teams. Worst team was a Derek Carr stack, of course. Just awful performances from Crabtree and Cooper, but I like the thought process behind this lineup. Carr, Cooper, Crabtree running it back with Pryor, 2 tight ends, as well as James White and McCaffrey. I thought White was a pretty nice contrarian play. Really like Christian McCaffrey this week. He had a great game in the passing game. And Panthers D is correlated with a double dip with Christian McCaffrey as well. So awful score, but don't hate the lineup that finished the worst here. Scrolling up to the top here, looking at the winning lineup. Congratulations here to CSURAM88. Great team with Kaiser, Howard, Chris Thompson, Doug Baldwin, Stephon Diggs, Thielen, Gronkowski, Parker, and Pats D. I don't like Thielen and Diggs together without the quarterback, but it certainly worked out. Diggs obviously with a huge game at 1.5%. Baldwin, huge game even with an injury. Thompson, everyone saw on Sunday Night Football. Just a very low-owned contrarian team right here, and took the win by a decent margin. So congrats to CSURAM88. You can see here there were some pretty high scores. A lot of them were around Brandon Cooks. You can see here Brandon Cooks had 35 points. This is a Brady stack. Great team here. Another one with Cooks, Beckham, AJ Green. So some really good teams overall here. I thought week 3 was interesting. Definitely some tougher decisions to be made on DraftKings with a tight cap. Don't feel like I made any blatant mistakes, but didn't have a ton of conviction on a couple plays. Really tough to decipher with some of those cheap receivers and roster construction. But overall, was an interesting week. I hope to bounce back in a much bigger way in week 4. Hopefully, my key guys won't be letting me down. Fortunately for me, I will be fading Amari Cooper going against Denver. Will be frustrating if he has a great game against the best pass defense, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Hope this was helpful for you guys, and as always, looking to see more Fantasy Lab subscribers at the top of the leaderboard.